Exodus 9. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has said. Release my people, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to release them and continue holding them, then the hand of the Lord will surely bring a very terrible plague on your livestock in the field, on your horses, the donkeys, the camels, the herds, and the flocks. But the Lord will be distinguished between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, and nothing will die of all the Israelites have." The Lord set an appointed time, saying, "Tomorrow the Lord will do this in the land," and the Lord did this on the next day. All the livestock of Egypt died, but the Israelite livestock, not one died. Pharaoh sent representatives to investigate, and indeed not even one of the livestock of Israel had died. But Pharaoh's heart remained hard, and he did not release the people. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of soot from the furnace and have Moses throw it into the air while Pharaoh is watching. It will become fine dust over the whole land of Egypt and will cause boils to break out and fester on both people and animals in all the land of Egypt." So they took the soot from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh. Moses threw it into the air, and it caused festering boils to break out on both people and animals. The magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, before boils were on the magicians and on all the Egyptians. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted to Moses. The Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning, stand before Pharaoh, and tell him, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has said. Release my people so they may serve me. For this time I will send all my plagues on your very self and your servants and your people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For by now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with plague, and you would have been destroyed from the earth. But for this purpose I have caused you to stand, to show my strength, and so that my name may be declared in all the earth. You are still exalting yourself against my people by not releasing them. I am going to cause very severe hail to rain down about this time tomorrow, such hail as has never occurred in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. So now send instructions to gather your livestock and all your possessions in the field to a safe place. Every person or animal caught in the field and not brought into the house, the hail will come down on them and they will die." Those of Pharaoh's servants who feared the Lord's message hurried to bring their servants and livestock into the house. But those who did not take the Lord's message seriously left their servants and their cattle in the field. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Extend your hand towards the sky, that there may be hail in the land of Egypt, on people, and on animals, and on everything that grows on the field in the land of Egypt." When Moses extended his staff toward the sky, the Lord sent thunder and hail, and fire fell to the earth. So the Lord caused hail to rain down on the land of Egypt. Hail fell, and fire mingled with the hail. The hail was so severe that had not been any like it in all the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. The hail struck everything in the open field, both people and animals. Throughout all the land of Egypt, the hail struck everything that grows in the field, and it broke all the trees of the field to pieces. Only in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived, was there no hail. So Pharaoh sent and summoned Moses and Aaron and said to them, "I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are guilty. Pray to the Lord, for the mighty thunderings and hail are too much. I will release you, and you will stay no longer. Moses said to him, when I leave the city, I will spread my hands to the Lord. The thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth belongs to the Lord. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear the Lord. Now the flax and the barley were struck by the hail, for the barley had ripened, and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not struck, for they are later crops. So Moses left Pharaoh, went out of the city, and spread out his hand to the Lord, and the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain stopped pouring on the earth. When Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder ceased, he sinned again. Both he and his servants hardened their hearts. So Pharaoh's heart remained hard, and he did not release the Israelites, as the Lord had predicted through Moses. I don't know, as we're going through the timing of all of these events, where someone is, or sorry, not someone, where one event ends, how many days are after it, how many days are before the next event. We don't have all of that here in the text. Sometimes it just tells us the next one. So when we get a little bit further down in this one and it tells us what harvest is happening, we could make calculations and know when those events are starting to happen. I don't know enough of the agriculture, and I don't pay enough attention, and their seasons are different than ours. So if you were telling me when are the corn and soybeans most vulnerable, I'd know when that's going to be. I'd know that if it was the corn harvest was just about ripe, that we're in mid-fall. I would know that. The soybean, we're in mid-fall. We're definitely in September, October. I would know that, but I don't know from the ones they're talking about as we get forward of exactly when all of these things are taking place. But we'll go through that in just a second. To the text. So, next group, God goes to Moses, tells Pharaoh to go tell him, this is what the Lord says, release my people so they may serve me. If you refuse to release them and continue to hold them, then the hand of the Lord will surely bring terrible plague on your livestock in the field, on your horses, donkeys, camel, herds, and flocks. So here it is those out in the field, okay? So notice it's the livestock in the fields. Let me see. What do we have here on the plague? Devour is usually translated as pestilence, which applies to diseases for humans. It is used only here in Psalm 78 for animals. Okay. So that's why I would have still understood pestilence as being disease of some kind. Could have just translated disease instead of plague. Okay, so it's going to affect horses, donkeys, camels, herds, and flocks. But the Lord will distinguish between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, and nothing will die in all the land of Israel. So if you were paying attention in the previous chapters, we have stuff is happening to the whole land. Then God says, or Moses says, what time you want it to end, gives a definite time, the ability to show God's power over time in ending a plague. Then the next plague was, and this one's not going to affect Goshen, where my people are, so he can make a distinction between there, and we're doubling down on the distinction. So it wasn't a one-off. God got lucky and was able to protect his own people. We're going to do a second one here, where God is going to make a distinction between my people and you and your people. But here, it's not the people, it's the livestock, so the possessions of. The Lord set the appointed time, saying, tomorrow, the Lord will do this in the land. I bet you could probably sing through the plagues. And the Lord did this on the next day. All the livestock in Egypt died, but the Israelite livestock, not one died. Okay. The word all clearly does not mean all in the exclusive sense, because subsequent plagues involved cattle. The word must denote such a large number that whatever was left was insignificant for the economy. It could also be taken as all kinds of livestock died. And I would go in the direction of all kinds of livestock, since what we had was mentioned above, various kinds of livestock. So all of the kinds of livestock were hit by this. That's the direction I would go. Not even one of the livestock of Israel had died, but Pharaoh's heart remained hard, and he did not release the people. We did the frog plague. Maybe 20 years ago, the church had a first Sunday of the month kids song, one of the songs on frogs. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't remember that song. Okay. So then this makes it sound like immediately after. Don't know how long this is. Again, we know when it's going to end. It is going to end when we get to April, May, because that's when Passover is going to be. We don't know when it started, but we know it's going to end. So I think this is months and months, and we're going to get some time frame up here that we could figure out, some indication of when harvest is in Egypt, but I don't know it off the top of my head. So he takes a handful of soot from the furnace, and Moses throws it into the air while Pharaoh is watching. The word picha is a hapax legomena meaning soot. Picha. And it sounds like it's derived from the word picha, to breathe, to blow. The furnace, kisva, was a special kiln for making pottery or bricks. So he's taking the soot from all of the bricks that Pharaoh had forced the people to make. So it is soot from the hard labor of the people that he's throwing into the air. Do you think that's by chance, that that's an accident, that he's taking soot from the kiln of the furnace where everyone was making bricks? I don't think so. It's a fine dust. It became a fine dust over the land, so he threw it into the air. Throwing into the air is also the image there of, could be breathing. It sounds like he's breathed it into the air. Oh, vigorously toss. Okay, he's vigorously tossing, but the soot could be breath and connected with that. And it caused boils to break out and festering on both plants and animals. Some of these animals could be livestock. Some could be pets, like cats or dogs or other things. Maybe a bird. So they took soot from the furnace and stood before Moses, threw it into the air, and it caused festering boils to break out on both people and animals. The magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boils were on the magicians and on all the Egyptians. Okay, now we've crossed over. So we've had the magicians could do the first several plagues. Then they couldn't do plagues, and they said, this is the finger of God. Now they have been struck by the plagues. So the powerful magicians of Egypt, who act on behalf of the gods and in connection with the gods of Egypt, have now been struck down too. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted. So the boils are on the magicians, and it says on all the Egyptians. And here we're talking totality language. It doesn't mean that all means all. I know you probably hear pastors that say, all means all. Well, if all livestock died up above, then how is there any livestock here? It just can't be. So I think it should be all kinds earlier, not the every single last one of them died annihilation. It's not their fault of their owners, but I know everything must be affected. Well, part of it is showing the power of God over the gods of Egypt to be able to impact them all. One other thing is when you have cruel regimes. Okay, this goes to why the flood destroyed all of animals. The animals that are abused, if you've ever seen an abused animal, does not act properly or behave properly. So there could be parts of this that is animal abuse is taking place. And so, there could be pieces of that. Like that's part of the reason for the full destruction of the earth with the flood is the corruption of the animals by mankind had taken place. Supersonic, I asked Venture a while back why people find enjoyment delighting in doing evil, the people finding murder or crime a good thing when it is not. And then it jumped from yours to the passage. Sin blurs the line of what is good and bad, right and wrong. It caused a warped lens, and what should grieve pleasure us. Another thing you've learned last night is sometimes we aren't meant to understand it. Only God can change people's hearts and views. Yes. All my plagues point to the rest of the plagues and anticipating the proper outcome. Another view is to take the expression to the brunt of attack on the Egyptians. I think I would go the full force. On your very self, to your heart. The expression is unusual, but it may have been an allusion to the hard-heartedness of Pharaoh, his stubbornness, and his blindness. Well, that would be what I would think. And your servants and your people. So you may know there is no one like me in all the earth. We're repeating that idea that there was no God like him at all. For by now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with plague, and you would have been destroyed from the earth. Means to hide, so you would be hidden, so utterly destroyed. You would be no longer. But for the purpose I have caused you to stand. Okay, so here's the thing we forget. God could have just destroyed, wiped out all of Egypt, brought his people out. He does plagues to attack the gods of Egypt, show his power over them, and for Egypt to be remaining afterwards to tell the tale. If Egypt is totally wiped out, they don't get to tell the tale of what happened to them. So, to show you my strength, and so that my name may be declared in all the earth. So this is what he's going to do to declare his name in all the earth. Christopher, hello! Welcome in. You are still exalting yourself against my people by not releasing them. Your act of not releasing is exalting yourself against my people. I am going to cause very severe hail to rain down at this time tomorrow. Such hail has never occurred in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. So now send instructions to gather your livestock and all your possessions in the fields to a safe place. Every person or animal caught in the field and not brought into the house, the hail will come down on them and they will die. What's interesting to me is, would not the potential of the hail also damage a lot of houses? But maybe from the structures that they have, it's not going to be as severe as those out in the field. Those of Pharaoh's servants who feared the Lord's message hurried to bring his servants and livestock into the house. But those who did not take the Lord's message seriously left their servants and their cattle in the field. Well, let's just say I don't believe it. I might take my chances anyway and bring them in just in case. I mean, other stuff's been happening. I got a warning. I might just play the odds and say, yeah, I might as well bring him in. But what it's acting as is those who are opposed are like, no, defiantly, I'm not going to do it. Don't care about your warning. So, Audio Lord, welcome in. Morning, church fam. Glad to have you in here, friend. I guess good afternoon. Yes, Christopher. Good afternoon. Good morning, good evening, good night. So we have some who are beginning to be persuaded by the power of God. There's the thing we can take away. Some of them with the warning are like, I will do what their God tells them to do. Yes, I will take part in this. Then the Lord said to Moses, extend your hand towards the sky, that there may be hail in the land of Egypt, on people and on animals and on everything that grows in the field in the land of Egypt. So Moses extended his staff toward the sky. The Lord sent thunder and hail and fire to the earth. So the Lord caused hail and rain down on the earth. The clause has been variously interpreted. Lightning would ordinarily accompany thunder. In this case, a mention of fire could indicate that the lightning was beyond normal and that it was striking in such a way as to start fires on the ground. It could also mean that the fire was went along the ground from the pounding hail. I think it makes sense that it is such an abundance of lightning that it is causing fires and lightning strikes to hit the ground. You have thunderstorms. Most of it is cloud-to-cloud lightning. In this case, it's accompanying all the way to the ground and starting fires. So Moses extended his staff towards the sky, sent the hail. Hail fell and fire mingled with the hail. The hail was so severe that the land had never seen anything like it in all of Egypt since it became a nation. Mitlakachat is a hifil participle. The clause reads, the fire took hold of itself in the midst of the hail. This probably refers to the lightning flashing back and forth. See Ezekiel. God created a great storm with flashing fire connected to it. So, yeah, since it's causing fire and fire is happening, I think that's what we have. The hail struck everything in the open field, both people and animals throughout the land of Egypt. The hail struck everything that grows in the field, and it broke all the trees of the field into pieces. Only in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived, was there no hail. So it's also breaking trees. It's so severe and damaging. Now it says everything that grows. It struck everything that grows. the cultivated grain. So it's all the grains that are out there and the trees are being hit. So Pharaoh sent and summoned Moses and Aaron and said to them, I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are guilty. Pharaoh now is struck by the judgment and acknowledges that he is at fault. But the context shows that the penitence was short-lived. Exactly he meant by this confession is uncertain. On the surface, he seemed to represent a recognition that he was in the wrong and Yahweh was right. So yes, it does appear on the surface. He finally admits to it. But Moses said, I will leave the city, I'll spread out my hands, the thunder will cease, the hail will be no more, so that you may know that the earth belongs to the Lord. See, here's part of what is being established. The earth belongs to the Lord, not just one location. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear the Lord. So Moses is like, yep, I know you don't fear God yet. These are just empty words that you're spewing. Now the flax and the barley were struck by the hail, for the barley had ripened and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not struck, for they are later crops. Okay, so I want to see if the footnote here tells me anything on that. Was in the ear. Flax was used to make linen, and the area around Tanis was ideal for producing flax. Barley was usually for bread for the poor people, as well as beer and animals. The kusment, translated spelt, the word occurs only here in Isaiah and Ezekiel. Spelt is a grain closely allied to wheat. Others suggest have been brought towards the study of Egyptian crops. Okay. It doesn't tell us when they are. This would have been like, here's a footnote that I would like. It's telling us that wheat and spelt were not hit. The flax and the barley were, so that crop is destroyed. The spelt and the wheat are probably planted, but they're not going to be damaged because they're in the ground and it's too early, so that they'll still be able to recover and they'll still have a crop. So Moses left Pharaoh, went out of the city, and spread out his hands to the Lord, and the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain stopped pouring on the earth. When Pharaoh saw the rain and the hail and the thunder ceased, he sinned again. Both he and his servants hardened their hearts. So Pharaoh's heart remained hard, and he did not release the Israelites as the Lord had predicted through Moses. So again and again and again, God has said, Pharaoh will not let you go. I'm going to continue to compound this. I'm going to make it worse. He is going to loathe you until they finally vomit you out of the land. Essentially, that's the image that we should have here. So we've got another one. Pharaoh doesn't comply, doesn't do what he should do. All right, there.